Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks very much for joining us in today's panel discussion on Is Web3 Infrastructure Development Maniac? And my name is Harriet. I'm the founder of Bianjie. Bianjie is a Cosmos interoperability protocol open source contributor since 2017. Actually, it was 7 years ago in this conference, I first learned Ethereum and Auto Cosmos. And today, Bianjie is already a global Web3 infrastructure builder as well as Web3 application service provider with almost 100 developers. And today is my greatest pleasure to moderate this insightful discussion. We have already gathered a group of remarkable panelists to share their perspectives and insights around the Web3 infrastructure. So without further delay, I would like to ask my panelists to introduce themselves and also their work. Okay, let us start from Machi-san.
I'm Koji Machi from Tokyo today. So I'm a web system designer, and also in these days focus on the Web3 system design. And also I'm working in the business development field. So usually I create a new opportunity and first design the system total architecture. And my project is one of Ethereum-based technology. So Sample blockchain is the name of product. And this is a focus on the content business. Content means animation, or movie, or music, like that. So blockchain for non-financial area. So my team, so I am one of the JCBI, Japan Content Blockchain Initiative. This is the association of one Japan, so member. So today, so I and my member is coming here. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, please.
Hello, thank you, Harriet. My name is Roger Brogan. I'm the Director of Solutions Architecture at Chainlink Labs. Chainlink Labs, probably most known for its Oracle software and price feeds. We've also recently released CCIP, which is Cross-Chain Interoperability Protocol. And we are working on additional product releases this year, such as Chainlink Functions and new high-speed Oracle that's coming out later this year. So I've spent over 2 years working at Chainlink Labs. Prior to that, I've spent 25 plus years in various engineering and IT tech as well. So it's a pleasure to be here to talk to you about Web3 infrastructure today. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger. Jens, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jens Groth. I'm a principal researcher at Dfinity. Before I joined Dfinity, I was a professor at University College London. My background is in cryptography. Dfinity launched the Internet Computer a couple of years ago. It's been running smoothly since then. We have more than 300 smart contracts operating on it. It runs at more than 3,000 transactions per second. That's actual current usage. We have 2 million plus registered internet identities. So that's sort of like some measure of usage of the internet computer. And the dApps on the internet computer run all kinds of things because we really want to enable everything to run on the internet computer. So we have, for instance, a lot of social media dApps on the internet computer. Thank you.
Diego, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diego Ferrer. I'm a solutions engineer at Celestia Labs. Celestia Labs is a core contributor to Celestia, the blockchain, which is the first modular blockchain focused on expanding data availability, making more DA available for developers to be able to run their own rollups and solve the current scalability issues that we see in the market.
Yeah, now you can see like we gathered the experts from the Oracle, from like the content management, various industry solutions, and high performance next generation infrastructure, and also like the data availability. And so let us get to the first question. And I would like to get your insights, like how the Web3 infrastructure development is impacting various industries. Perhaps I will ask, like this time, we start from Diego.
Um, yeah, absolutely. So I think in the case of solutions like Celestia that are essentially allowing people to build applications as rollups with more bandwidth and cheaper cost, it helps developers be able to build new kind of solutions that weren't able before. Things that come to mind are things like CKML, or zero knowledge machine learning, on-chain games, but also all sort of other things such as DeFi and application-specific rollups of all sorts.
Yes, James, please.
Right. So we're operating on the thesis that everything should be running on blockchain, right? And I think we see across the applications we have that really everything is starting to run on blockchain. So social media dApps for sure, so the equivalents of Reddit and Twitter and LinkedIn can run on blockchains, and it works pretty well. TikTok, we can run videos on blockchain, right? So I really think that the sky is the limit of what blockchain can actually support.
Yeah, I would like to get like your view, like Roger, like from the Oracle, and also actually yesterday you also shared with me like the exciting new development from Chainlink to support the banking industry. So like to get your insights.
Yeah, of course. You know, decentralization carries, decentralized Oracle networks and infrastructure carries many different benefits, right? And some benefits are more important to other people than others, right? For example, a lot of people value the censorship resistance of a decentralized Oracle network, because our Oracle networks have to come together in a Byzantine fault-tolerant consensus algorithm. So if one is misbehaving, or one was out of line, or one was hacked, right, it still wouldn't affect the majority to come to consensus and still provide the correct data. And so there's also reliability that comes with the decentralization of the Oracle network, as well as various other bits of, like I said, the censorship resistance and availability and security, right? Because the security is also key to having separate decentralized entities. And when we look at, continuing the interoperability, like Harry had mentioned, the protocols doing proof of work or proof of concepts with Swift, for example, to try and connect traditional financial systems or banking blockchains to public blockchains in a secure way. So there's, it's very early days for this, but we think that there's quite a lot of promise in this area moving forward.
Machik-san.
So as I said, the content is our focus area. And in Japan, Japan contents are very good things, for example, so animation and manga and music. So I think one of the most big mass adoption of Web3 is from content area. So we are now working with content publisher and content holder, like the big name in the movie, so Transformer from Hollywood. And in Japan, so as a content holder, our co-work partners.
Yeah, so our guest already shared with us how the Web3 infrastructure with this ability in the powerful like performance improvement and also like the permissionless, censorship-free, and to support like more free and efficient collaboration with all these good aspects of blockchain, and it already start to shape the future of the industries, various industries. However, I would also like to get your view on like how do you see what are the key elements from the Web3 infrastructure which is needed for really like the massive, the widespread adoption of the Web3 infrastructure, and what are the challenges we need to overcome? And so this time I would like to start with Machi-san.
So in the side of infrastructure, we have two issues to expansion. So one is two things. Also front side integration. So blockchain is a backend technology, but also we should create a good experience of the front side usabilities. One is ID. So previous session, so he said the private key is difficult to use for all people. So the one thing is this kind of things. The next thing is especially content area. That's a DRM integration, digital rights management system. So these two things is overcome after this. So expansion, mass adoption will be start, I think.
Very good insights like the usability and all this kind of tooling that is very necessary for the massive adoption. And now I want to get like also Roger, your view like on this question, like the challenges and opportunities for the massive adoption for the Web3 infrastructure.
Yeah, great question. As you know, as already mentioned here, you know, human nature doesn't change, right? Regarding the technology, right? So if you want mass adoption, you have to make things easier to use, faster, simpler, better. And right now, some of the barriers I've already mentioned, you know, key management is a bit clunky, right? If you lose your keys, you lose the crypto. There is no calling the help desk and resetting your key, right? This is cryptographically proven. So what needs to come are more friendly custodial solutions that are secure and decentralized. And there's been a lot of progress with various projects, you know, making advances in this type of infrastructure as well. And also mention the user experience. I have to agree as well, right? People are used to a certain experience that's quite simple and fast, right? And there's also many, you know, Web3 projects that are working on the user experience side to make sure that it's becoming, you know, just as fast or becoming eventually better than Web2 experiences. So I think those are still some key blockers. But I think that progress is being made in these areas, and I think that we'll continue to see rapid progress in these areas as well.
Actually, I think, like Roger, you touched a very important aspect of the usability, like key management and all these things. And I know, like, Chainlink also doing a great job in the community development. And I think the education part, like to get people how to really get familiar and be comfortable with Web3 infrastructure. Do you also want to add some aspect on the education part?
Yeah, I think that's really key, right? I mean, you start off with people not knowing or understanding some of the benefits. You know, if you look at what, you know, we've talked about before, when some of prior generation of Web 2.0, if we want to call it, centralized entities gave you all of these free things you thought were free benefits, but they were really collecting your data, right? And then using that to monetize against you. So explaining to people what happened and explaining that you can own your own data and you can manage your own kind of destiny and manage things in the Web3 way. Explaining those benefits and educating people through community events like this, and just spreading the word and getting people more interested, I think is going to be key to get, you know, more and more people excited about the space.
Thank you. So Jens, please.
Okay, so I guess there are sort of like a couple of aspects. We touch both what is sort of like the developing infrastructure, right, to support adoption, and then the user space and potentially education of users. So for the former one, right, I mean, I think one thing we've struggled with in user adoption, we really wanted to that people access the internet computer via a vanilla browser, right? And that's just really hard to do because the browser system is set up for Web 2 experience. The assumption is that there's one server that talks to a client, right? And that server has a secret key it can use to authenticate to the user. On a blockchain, there's no server that has a secret key it can use to authenticate to the user, right? So how do you get around that, right? So we looked at it, we were like, okay, well, you know, can you do a multi-party computation protocol for that? That's very difficult and cumbersome, right? Can you have something where you just have signed data and you at least get started and give that to the user? The browsers don't support that. It's a very tricky thing, and I guess, I mean, one hope is that I have is just that Web3 becomes so important that browsers and the internet starts to adopt and accommodate and be friendly in terms of, in a technical sense, to Web3.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like we are labeling Web3 as next generation of internet, like a step further from today's Web2. And so like how to like make the user actually have the same and probably even better user experience like Web2, then that is I think that's kind of like an objective as an infrastructure builder we want to achieve. So I want to also get like Diego, like your view on these things.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think overall, all the challenges that we face when it comes to adoption can be boiled down to both like back-end issues and front-end issues. And it's very important to distinguish that the right solution is not the one that necessarily gets us there the fastest, but the one that gets us there without sacrificing the core principles of like blockchain, right? Like the reason we're here. So how do we maintain all these things decentralized and trust minimized while still bringing people like the best solution possible, right? When it comes to like the backend side of things, you want to be able to give developers the option to play around with whatever they are capable of instead of having to silo them in a single environment, right? Like if you're a developer and you're only using, and you're planning to deploy an app, let's say on Ethereum or an Ethereum rollup, you have to essentially subdue yourself to the rollup or the chain that you're deploying to. Whereas if you're able to deploy your own chain or your own rollup using something like Celestia, you all of a sudden have the ability to modify the backend however you want while still maintaining all the properties of a normal blockchain or a rollup. And when it comes to the front end side of things, you want to be able to give people the like nice UX and user experience that they've been accustomed to through the usage of Web2 without sacrificing, again, the core principles, right? So what do I mean by that? You could make wallets like MetaMask, et cetera, as user-friendly as possible, but as long as you still require them to pinpoint a centralized endpoint, you're still like adding trust assumptions in the end. That's something that we focus a lot at Celestia. The idea is if you can have light clients that are truly light, in the sense of having low hardware requirements, you could hide these things away from the user to the point that you still have the nice Web2 user experience, but you're still giving the user the ability to verify the chain by themselves without having them trust a like sort of like intermediary or middleman that can lie to them.
And actually, Diego, I'm also very impressed with the work from Celestia. Like you guys even allow like people using a simple cell phone and be able to run the light client to verify like complicated, even like interoperability blockchain information. So I think that is also like very nice step to allow like more people will be able to participate in the blockchain like the lower level just for interaction. So that is also very nice piece of work. So we discussed about like the challenges and the opportunities. And just now, like we mentioned, our goal is for Web3 to be more user-friendly and be able to support like a user, be able to have a better user experience. And we also know like with our objective for Web3, we want a better internet as the next generation. And Web3, it is a user-centric internet. So with user-centric, like we want like user be able to really manage it and own the web and own the information they generated. So data is very important. And so I would like to actually to discuss with the Web3, with the data, how we are building the Web3 infrastructure to ensure like the concern from the people about the privacy, the security, and in the meantime, still allow the great efficiency and the transparencies, even to support the interoperability of the data across the blockchain. So I probably will ask like Diego to start first.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to interoperability, right, using things like Celestia still gives you the ability to have like your own blockchain, your own custom space in which, as a developer, you can play around and give users whatever experience they're like wishing for. But the fact that you and other people are still building your own blockchain doesn't really separate you from the rest as long as you share a same underlying DA layer like Celestia, you're still able to have like a view of like other people's blocks and like essentially run trust minimized like clients of other blockchains such that you can easily interoperate and communicate with one another.
Okay. Yes. Thanks, James. Please.
Okay, so you talked about several things: security, privacy,
And also interoperability. In the meanwhile,
interoperability,
also
yeah.
maintain the interoperability.
Okay, yes. So I kind of want to touch mostly on the former too, because it's something we care a lot about, but also something I think I experience that users don't understand that well. So they would say, well, it's a secure blockchain, and not even realize that there's a distinction between, are we talking about integrity or availability or confidentiality, right? And blockchains are great for integrity and for availability, and they're really bad at confidentiality because you're replicating data everywhere, right? And it's a very difficult question to overcome. And now we talk about interoperability, and can you do that across chains, even on a single blockchain? It's a super hard problem, right? There's a lot of cryptographic research going into, can we do multi-party computation? Can we do fully homomorphic encryption and operate on confidential data? And the answer is that the overheads are enormous, and it's also difficult to have the right incentive structure, right? So for integrity, we can use incentive structure. We can say, if your machine misbehaves, then we are going to slash you, we're going to punish you, we're going to take tokens away from you, right? You cannot do that with confidentiality. If data leaks, nobody knows about it, right? So it's a super hard problem. The good news is that people are thinking very much about it. There's a lot of research going on, so we are making progress, right? But it is difficult in the blockchain space.
So I want to hear like your solutions from Dfinity, like how we are addressing like this kind of almost mission impossible. Yeah, because it's really important. People like say like we have the data on the blockchain,
Yeah.
and we use that to support our full business, like privacy, and still like security and all these kind of things.
Yeah. So one thing you can do, and which is so like also what people look at is, okay, what are the special cases we can support, right? And sometimes they're more efficient solution for special cases, right? So I worked, before I joined Dfinity, I worked on e-voting systems. And that's sort of like a special case of a multi-party computation. You want votes to be private, you want to tally the result and say this is the result of the election. And we have protocols for that, right? And in the same way, we have protocols, so if you have data at rest, it's easier, right? Then you can use encryption. We have some new technology at Dfinity that we're very excited about, which essentially allows the blockchain to hold keys for participants. You can have, for instance, a setup where we say, well, these two users need to get the same key so they can send encrypted messages to each other. Or maybe you can have something like, here's some data, I want it to stay encrypted until a point in the future, and now it can be revealed to the smart contract. And that is something that are just building these days, and that we're very excited about.
I'm also quite excited to really see all this progress. And now I want to learn like the work from the Chainlink about this, like what we just mentioned, like mission impossible, like the data integrity, security, privacy, also interoperability.
Yes, absolutely. That's quite a mouthful, as is already mentioned, and quite a lot of research going on in this area. As you know, Jen's already mentioned, you know, public blockchains are great for exactly that, public data. But when you talk about privacy concerns, then it gets very tricky. One of the solutions that Chainlink has for this is a technology called DECO. And DECO uses zero-knowledge proofs and a combination of multiple parties that can, for example, decide if something is true. Like, for example, you could say, I want to see if the person can prove that they are over 21 years old, for example. Okay. So the privacy concerns about that statement is that you don't want to reveal any other information. You don't necessarily want to reveal your birthday. It's private information. You don't necessarily want to reveal the year you were born. You don't want to accidentally leak any other information. A lot of people check IDs for this type of thing in the real world, right? Which will also have your address and your weight, eye color, and all these things, right? So if you can have a trusted authority that people trust, have the information that you need that could verify this statement, and then another, private trusted third party that will verify without revealing this information, you can make a statement that, the query essentially is, are you above a certain age? And then the result will come back true or false. And then without revealing the source data, you can have this. So this is one way of not revealing the source data, but sharing some information that's useful to prove some other attestation that you need, right? But there's still much more areas of research, right? Because once something's encrypted and then decrypted, then it's kind of the cat's out of the bag. So this is very interesting tech you guys are working on with the time-based decryption. I think that would be very useful.
Actually, as mentioned, like now this time is actually my 8th time attending this global blockchain summit. And for the many years back, actually I started also to learn the work from Chainlink, from the Definity, and also I started to learn Celestia's work. And so people often ask, you guys are still building infrastructure for so long, but as you can see, with the great vision need to be achieved with Web3, the Web3 infrastructure, they really need very rigorous design from all aspects. And so that is no wonder, we call it's kind of like a maniac when we're doing the infrastructure development. And it's always heartwarming to every year to learn the new progress from each project. And also I'm quite interested to learn from Machi-san, from Japan, from your team's work. And how do you guys see this aspect in terms of data and how you are addressing these kind of requirements?
So this is difficult, but I think Web3 is a little bit different from blockchain. So blockchain usually use coins, tokens, but widely, so Web3 means NFTs and other product on the blockchain. So data type is different from each other. One NFT is animation data, and one NFT is real asset data. So I think that each industry or each area should create a common data model, each by each. And for example, our territory, so content, IP areas. So we are creating a new standard in Japan, standard of the data type and the procedure to create new things and trade things. So I think that this is one way to get common sense. And also I think that this conversation should be widely. And so, for example, so today, I talk about this data type with you all. And the next step is Chinese specialist, content specialist together. So this is the process of the common standard creation, I think.
So Machi-san, thank you very much for your aspect to this question, because I know we started to talk about the very lower level of the Web3, the infrastructure, the blockchain, the interoperability, and Machi-san also touched a very important aspect for the blockchain to support the reach and various applications for the Web3. Web3 is definitely a bigger envelope. Blockchain is its infrastructure. So Machi-san touched up on the data modeling and all these things enable for the applications be able to really leverage this trustful infrastructure. So thanks you very much for these inputs. So now we are getting to our last question. And our last question is, look ahead, for the Web3 infrastructure development. And what is your view, the most important things and the work you want to do for the next 3 to 5 years? And you think that is so critical for the Web3 to be really successful and with this enhanced Web3 infrastructure? And this time I want to start it from Machi-san.
Thank you. So I think the most important things of Web3 mass adoption is integration of the front system. So like that, so what I say, Amazon run the contents production, contents provider is on the product, but they have some technologies, not only the live streaming, they have DRM and customer management. So I think that more than 70% is front-side technology. The blockchain is a back-end technology. So integration of the front end and the back end is necessary to expansion, I think.
Yeah, so if I conclude on that, I think Machi-san, you mentioned like very important piece is for the middleware to support like our Web3 distributed applications. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, so Roger, please.
Yeah, so, really interesting question. I mean, I think that if you look, 1 year out, people tend to maybe overestimate what you can accomplish. But, when you talk 3, 4, 5 years, sometimes they underestimate what can be accomplished. So I'm very excited to be in this space and see what develops. But I think some of the things that are most important is that the various ecosystems kind of come together and work with interoperability. I think that opens up some very, very interesting use cases. So we are very excited to have released a protocol to help with this. I think another element that would be key in a lot of areas is more regulatory clarity. I think that when you have clarity, yeah. For example, in some places, regulations are quite clear. I think Japan has done a fantastic job on defining crypto and defining stablecoin regulations. We have clear regulations coming out of Hong Kong for exchanges. The U.S. is still quite unclear, to the point where there are a lot of people still arguing in court over what the regulations are. And I think with unclear regulations, that it hurts people that try to be compliant with the regulations. Right? So I think that getting more and more clarity, which I think will come with time, I think is very important for moving forward.
Thank you. I think I really heard very, very important 2 keywords. One is interoperability, so allowing us to really get the trustworthy information and assets come across different heterogeneous systems. And also another piece is very important is on the compliance and the regulation. And then that is really evolving process. And that is also so important for the healthy and also orderly development of the whole Web3 industry. So thank you for for those inputs. Yeah, James, please.
Okay. I have a dream. I think it's more than 3 to 5 years into the future, right? Which is that everything runs on blockchain. I would love everything the government does to be on blockchain, so it's transparent. You can see what it does. It's very clear what it does, and there's no cheating going on, and so forth. I think there's a lot in terms of blockchain. Web3 is maybe some added on, consumer protection element in it. You can imagine people having smart contracts that basically support what they want to do, right? That defines these are the kind of interactions I allow my smart contract to have on behalf of me. I think there's quite a long way to go there, and I think it's not just a technical one, but it's also in terms of sophistication, right? That are people able to distinguish actually what is a good choice for smart contracts, what is a bad choice, right? Because I think we have a wide variety in terms of quality and security levels and decentralization and so forth. And it's a complicated space to look into and understand as a consumer, right? And I would wish that we find a way, professionals in the blockchain space and Web3, right, to also express that to users of the blockchain so they can differentiate what is the best solution for them.
Thanks, Chen. I really like your dream. And I think it's really so important if we can get that built step by step, piece by piece. And then that will help us to build this more inclusive Web3. Yeah, so Diego, please.
Yeah, I think I have a very similar sort of like vision or dream as Jens. I believe most things, if not everything, should run on the blockchain, like application-wise, like games, machine learning, heck, even front ends and whatnot. And the things that shouldn't be running on the blockchain should at least be able to be proven on the blockchain, right? Like using technologies such as zero knowledge proofs, or maybe even fraud proofs for very specific use cases. I think the only difference maybe in the vision is that the way I see it is that in the maybe not so far future, in the next 3 years or so, more and more app developers and maybe even also some teams come to the realization of the power that's given to them once they're able to run their own app chain, their own like app-specific rollup specifically. I think we've started to see that a lot this year with teams like Cello, most recently teams like Astar moving to a Polygon CKVM rollup, and I think we're going to start seeing that trend explode more. And the way I envision it is that in the next 3 to 5 years, it won't be just a dozen people running their own like rollup in the Celestia or Ethereum ecosystem or other ecosystems, but that it will be like in the hundreds, if not thousands and more. And that can only happen, right, if we, as an industry, keep on doing our job in trying to provide people with better solutions and more scalability and more throughput.
Thank you, Diego, for this input. I think we all have this dream, and let us work together to continuously build the Web3 infrastructure to help to grow a more open and inclusive, better next generation of internet. And let us thanks for our panelists' inputs, perspectives and insights. 今天呢，我们这一个就是圆桌呢，到此就会结束了。然后呢，请那个在场的那个感谢大家所有的人的参与，让我们再一次感谢我们的嘉宾，然后呢，谢谢大家。